Yes, sir.
So every Wednesday we meet up our mastermind, Millionaire Barbers Mastermind, where we have future school owners and present school owners. And we talk about opening schools. We talk about being accredited, getting government money. We talk about moving beyond the chair. We talk about barbers, stylists, nail techs, estheticians, makeup artists having a dream to open a school. But tonight we got my man Shawn. And Shawn's out here in Alaska. Now, when we think about Alaska, a lot of y'all think about Eskimos. Now, for me to see a black man in Alaska with a school, that's just kind of baffling and intriguing. So I'm not going to talk long tonight because I want Shawn first.
Yeah.
Take us back to childhood, Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to segue up. So what were you doing as a child?
Shoot, man. My mom had me when she was 15. So it was a little rough there for a while. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Eventually my dad got stationed in Louisiana, and that's where I was raised since I was about 8 years old. So grew up in Louisiana, eventually got in the Air Force. And I thought it's a funny story. So when I got in the Air Force, you go to your training and they basically give you this paperwork. It's called your orders, and it's basically telling you where you're going after the training. So I got the paperwork, I got my orders, and I remember looking at it. It said Elmendorf Air Force Base, AK. Now I had requested, like they let you request where you want to go. So I had put all areas in the South on my dream sheet. So I didn't want to be in Louisiana right where my parents were, but I wanted to be close enough to at least drive. And I remember showing my orders to my instructor and saying, "Hey man, look, it looked like I'm going to Arkansas, bro. Like, it say AK, that's Arkansas, right?" And he was like, "Nah, you ain't going to Arkansas, son. You're going to Alaska." So I wanted to be in the South. They put me in the most northern place that they possibly could put me in. And it ultimately changed my life, man. I got up here, wasn't a lot of barber shops, wasn't, no real barber school at all. And I just really saw opportunity, so I eventually got out of the military, stayed up here, met my wife, all that good stuff. And, now we've been doing this for since about 2014. We've had the school. I did apprenticeships before then, but it's been good, man. It's really changed my life. Y'all said Cleveland, Ohio? Yeah, for sure.
Now, so you had a barber shop first, is that right?
Yeah.
So tell us about the barber in that episode.
Yeah, man. I had so my mentor, basically, she was like, many other, ethnic barbershops, right? Or barber schools, or not even barber schools, I'm sorry, hair salons. She did booth rental. So that was the only thing that I knew. So I end up, I was at somebody else's shop for a while. Then once I left out of that shop, I opened up my own shop. So I'm talking about I'm young, like 24, 25, super green, maybe younger than that. And I ended up opening up my shop. I had a couple of people that I was renting out chairs, and they were kind of doing their thing. But ultimately, I knew that wasn't all that I wanted to do. Maybe I don't know, all of y'all backgrounds, but when I went to school, I knew I wanted a barber school. So when I went to my mentor school, and I pretty much went to a school that was a cosmetology school with a barbering program. So I saw the need, right? I saw the need. I saw that it was a lack of barber schools in this area. So I knew that I wanted to do it. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I ended up having a barbershop, but my goal was always to have a school. You know what I mean? The barbershop was cool, but I just had a dream that was way bigger than just having people in there and we all booth renters. We all kind of acting like a team, but we all doing our own thing, not really making, no real money, at least in my case, just enough to pay the rent and kind of keep it moving and, be able to pocket what I'm making behind the chair. And I knew from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I knew that that wasn't really a business. You know what I mean? Because it still required me to be there often doing my thing. Really couldn't, if I wasn't cutting, I wasn't making that much money. So I appreciated my booth renters. I don't think I would have been able to make that transition to shop ownership so seamlessly without them, but it definitely wasn't the play that I knew would be, sustainable in the future.
Now, when you were in school, did you know you wanted a school before you went to that school?
I know, no, that inspiration came from being in the school. So like I said, I knew I've always been very entrepreneurial. So I kind of know I'm always on the lookout for things that, are basically problems. So basically a business is just a solution to whatever problem is in the market. So I knew, and that was one of the reasons people like, hey, why'd you stay in Alaska? Where I was from, man, there was a barbershop on every corner. Competition, is good, but it ain't that good when you could be in a place where, you know what I mean, you could set your own prices and it's not going to be as many of you, don't come a dime a dozen like it does in Louisiana where I was from. So I ended up staying here and being able to do my thing. But to answer your question, I didn't know that I wanted a barber school. I've always been that type of guy that if I have information, I'm always putting people on game. I'm a natural teacher. So barbering just gave me really the platform for what I believe my gift is, and that's really teaching and coaching and helping and things like that. So once I saw my instructor, I'm like, okay, she cool. She got the esthetician program. She has a barber program, but I'm really the only barber in here. I'm looking around the city. Ain't nobody got a barber college. Ain't nobody got a barber school here, just teaching barbering. There's a bunch of hair schools out here. I was like, man, that's what I want to go after. You know what I mean? And I had the mentor to be able to, I was really close to the lady that owned the shop or owned my school. I did a lot of things for her. I was the dude that if she needed me to go pick up some products from her store, bring it back to the school, whatever she needed from, she was like, a mother figure to me. So I really got ingratiated myself with her. So I knew that it wouldn't be too hard because I had Miss Roz, like you always talk about Miss Velma. I had Miss Raj, to be able to teach me and open that pathway. I'm talking about from my catalogs to everything. She was able to show me the ropes. And she changed my life by being able to give me that information. But it wasn't until I got into her school, I saw, the landscape of what Anchorage, Alaska was, that I got the idea like that I want to have a school. You know what I mean?
So did you tell anybody that you was going to open a school?
Yeah, I actually did. Yeah, I told a lot of people, man, like, I'm married now, but I probably had, in this time period from me going to school to actually opening the school was a long time. So I had different girlfriends, all kind of different things that was always the North Star. It's like, hey, man, I'm gonna open a school. And a lot of times I sounded silly because I was a broke barber. You know what I mean? A broke shop owner. How you gonna do that, bro? You barely doing what you barely able to take care of this. But it was something that I had to do. Even when I took my instructor's license, y'all, just to keep it real with y'all, up here is predominantly, a lot of white folks. So I was going in front of a board that I just felt like were being very unfair, very biased and things like that as I went to go get my instructor's license. And I failed several times. I failed maybe twice, two or three times before I could actually get that piece of paper to where I could even have my license, because that was the first step. Get licensed, get your instructor license. And then from there, we can go to the next step to actually owning the school. But I knew that I wanted to do it, bro. So I just, I did what I had to do. I didn't care how many times I had to go and take that test. They was just going, they were just going to have to keep seeing me. And that's what happened. They kept seeing me. And eventually they was willing to give me that piece of paper. And I ended up opening up one of the most successful barber programs in this whole state.
Now, when you took that test and they failed you, how did you feel? Tell us about that.
Man, it was weird because it was important. It was weird because I couldn't really get the information of I'll just keep it real. I probably had a lawsuit on my hands knowing what I know right now, Chin, but I let it rock how I let it rock. They wouldn't even tell me exactly what were the areas that I could do better. Right, they wouldn't tell me where I can improve. It's a very subjective test. I was on the board a few years ago. Actually, I was on the board until this year. So now I know a lot of the insights of what they was doing wasn't right. Actually, they end up doing, in my state, they end up doing away with that part of the test because it was so biased and it was so many people that was failing that part. They were passing their written exam and then they were going in there to instruct, which we all know how to do. And for some reason, people wasn't able to pass the instructor test. But a lot of the people that were on the board also owned schools. So a lot of people so it's a funny game, y'all. I'm gonna just keep it real. Everything ain't always fair, but that's how they was rocking, man. But to answer your question, I felt hurt a little bit, but at the same time, more than anything, I just felt like I wanted to know what can I grow? How can I get strong? Because I'm gonna do it. I don't care. Y'all let me know what I gotta do. but I just felt a little confused by it. I made like a 98 on the written exam. And then I had to go do the actual teaching a lesson, and they was just acting like, like that my lesson wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Okay, and then you finally passed the test.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about giving up?
For me, no, Chin, like I knew I had to do this. I knew that for where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, the barber school was that pathway, right? I knew that $30, $40 haircuts, me standing on my feet all day long, I knew there was only so much leverage I could get out of me. And I'm a hard worker. I'm still a hard worker. You understand me? But I just understood very early on, like, it got to be more to the game. What is the next level to this game? And thankfully I had Miss Roz to be able to look and model after that. She got a supply store. She got the school. She's doing hair, but really her money is coming from so many other verticals to where I was able to kind of see the blueprint. So even with that failure, it was really easy for me to get back up because I knew that this was, if I wanted what I said I wanted, that was just what I was going to have to go through.
Why didn't you just settle to be a barber or whatever, a stylist? Because we got probably over 1 million of them, very few school owners.
Okay. I think it's in my office. Why did it, so let me make sure I got the question. So why did I not just want to be a barber?
Yeah, why you just didn't settle for that? Because it does take work to become a school owner.
Yeah. No, man, I always wanted to be a business owner. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to have a real business and not to throw shade at any, like I'm a barber, y'all. Like I understand. I love this. This craft has given me so many opportunities. But I just understand like windows, and I understand caps, and I understand the lid on an opportunity. And no matter how talented we are as service providers, there is a lid to that. And if you're cool with that, that's cool. You know what I mean? There's barbers out there that, make 6 figures and do their thing, but it's rare. But almost every school owner I know is making 6 figures, is a millionaire doing it. So success leaves clues. And, it's not a right or wrong thing. It was just for me, I wanted to be able to cut hair, do my thing, have my clients. But at the same time, I knew that my calling on my life was greater than just standing behind the chair. I knew that I had so much experience and so much wisdom. I understood things in a different type of way, that I could pour something into this industry and impact it in a different way. Through my students, and my students have went on to open up shops. My students have went on to pretty much do everything except open a school. So I'm waiting for one of them to maybe open up a school and come back and do that. But that would not have happened if I would have just been, and just to keep it real, Chan, a lot of us are very self-centered with our gifts and with our talents and things like that. But we got to get back to the Bible when it talks about the person that is serving the most. That's who is going to be the person that's really getting it, in layman's terms. And so when you think about service, like how many people can you serve behind your chair in a day? One at a time, right? It's been times, man, where I literally have had 8, 9 students in here. Their chairs are all full. I'm in here running point guard, and we're doing so much more and having so much more impact than what I could have ever done by myself. Right now, could they do it to the degree where they, 15 years in the game and all of that? No, but they were good enough. They had good training, and some of them, to tell you the truth, Chan, in my particular situation, man, I've had people in my program that if I didn't step up to this calling, like they literally wouldn't be barbers right now. I've had military personnel. I've had parents. I've had people that were working full-time jobs. So just my unique spin of being willing, to help people, I think has been just a whole tremendous thing for, of course, my legacy, but all of these different people that I've been able to help. Y'all, like when you talk about these Paul Mitchells and all of these big schools, and don't mean to name drop or anything, but a lot of them have very rigid type of rules and things like that. You know what I mean? And I was able to help, I feel like, a particular type of person get from A to Z. And I have just been, I've been blessed by it, but so many people have been blessed by me stepping up. And, it's been a lot of failures. We'll probably get into it, but y'all, like, I literally, in order to open up my shop there, open up my school, there was a bunch of fees. Y'all are talking NACA and things like that. That got fees, but just your state has fees. And to do that, man, I looked at that packet, and I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision if I was going to keep trying to, go to the clubs, impressing women, doing all of these different things, having my own apartment, having the shop, or if I was willing to sacrifice. And that sacrifice was very humbling for me, because my sacrifice, I had to choose between keeping the lights on at my shop, which I knew was going to really eventually be the pathway for the school, right? Or not having an apartment. So I literally, my story is to get to where I had to get to and to be able to pay for all these fees and things like that, I had to sit my butt down for 4 months and literally stay inside of my shop. I went to Planet Fitness and washed my butt. I don't got no shop in my, but I was in good shape because I had to go to Planet Fitness every single day to take a shower to make sure, I was clean and I did whatever. But these are the sacrifices that I see time and time again of why people don't end up having the type of success that they want. They want to have it all. They want to look a certain type of way. They don't want to give certain things. So with that being said, sometimes those things that you don't want to give away are exactly what you need to give away for you to be able to have a whole different type of life. My life is tremendously different because I have a school now, as opposed to the little bit that I was trying to hold on. And it was absolutely embarrassing. Like every day I got a big red truck. So every day people like, man, Shawn, you working real late at the shop. I'm like, if only you knew, brother. I ain't working. I'm talking about, man, having to bring the lady friends over to the shop. That's how I was living. But I knew that I could not afford to keep living that double life. And I believe that God calls us many times to make those sacrifices to really see how committed you are. Now, I could have stayed and said, hey, man, I can't do it, man. People know me in the streets for having things, and I'm just not willing to, compromise, staying in the shop. But that extra $1,000, $1,500, whatever I was spending on those living expenses, right? I was able to reinvest and flip it. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't go trick it off. I went to go invest it back in my business. So all of those fees that was coming out, I was able to pay it. I was able to write that check. But it wasn't easy, y'all. And I think that's what it is a lot of times, is we want, even with Chan, even with him helping us, he's going to make it easier for us, right? He's going to help us. He's going to do the paperwork, but there's still a sacrifice that all of us got to make on some type of level. He can't take that away from you. He can't remove that play. He's going to do his part. But our part is there's something that's going to go on. There's going to be a relative that's going to get sick. You might get sick, money funny. We in a recession. He can't control all of those factors. He's just doing what he can do. And even as a light, there's still a sacrifice that we all have to make. And that was just one of many that I can really highlight to say, like, I feel like if I had a movie, that would be one of those turning points to be, because it was huge, man. Like I was literally like, bro, like I can't afford to keep living how I'm living and be able to pursue my dream. A young man at that time, I was 28, 29, so I was like, bro, you know what I mean? Like you're going out every single night. You want to stay fresh. You want to stay clean. You want to have the apartment. You want to have that. And you got this lease that you got to pay for at your shop. I didn't have the silver spoon. I ain't have parents I could just call and, they was able to write me a check. So if I wanted my dream, I had to sacrifice.
So how did you find your building?
My building, man, it's a funny story. Again, a lot of my stories kind of revolve around, the women I was with at the time. So this is actually a story of one of my ex-girlfriends. So actually we go back even further than that. I was in a shop. I thought I was going to be in that shop for a very long time. They were like my brothers, ATL and Q. Q was the one that owned the shop. Q eventually ended up, not trying to be too graphic, y'all, he ended up getting murdered. So once he got murdered, his wife, she took over the shop and she was trying to keep his legacy alive, but it really was never her thing. Like before he passed away, she was never even around. So she's trying to do stuff. She's doing stuff hecka different, kind of just leaving everybody in limbo to where we're not even sure if this shop gonna be a thing or not. So I kind of started realizing that I needed to go out on my own. So at the time, I was telling my girl, like, hey, like I'm looking for a spot. I don't want to be too far from the barbershop that we at right now, because I don't want to lose a bunch of clients trying to move to another side of town. I actually had never seen this building in my life, bro. At that point, she ran out of gas. She had like I don't know what you call them cars, a Ford Mercury or something like that. She had a little old hoopty. And she ran out of gas. And there's literally like a church right on the other side of where we're at. She ran out of gas and she had to just drive into this church parking lot. And I went to go get her some gas, filled it up, and I told her I'm gonna follow her home because I just want to make sure that it's just gas and it's not a mechanical issue. So we end up driving, and we drove past the shop, and she hit me up. She said, "Did you see that that shop back there, or that place back there? It said in the windows it has for lease in the windows." I said, "Nah." I said, "I think I might have missed it." She said, "Turn around and follow me." So we turned around, we came into the parking lot, and it was like after hours. But in Alaska, like the light, one of the things about Alaska in the summertime is always light. So the sun stays up for like forever. So even though it was like 7, 9 o'clock, it was still pretty lit outside in the summer. So I'm literally looking inside of the space, you know what I mean? The landlord ain't there or nothing. And I'm looking at it, and it's an office space, Chin. It's not even like a place where, it was a former barber shop or a former barber. Like it's just an office space. So I contacted the people the next day. I said, "Hey, it looks like y'all are trying to rent out a space. Do y'all mind if I come by and look at it?" And literally I'm looking at it, Chin, and like God has given me like the foresight to be able to see what it can be. It's not what it's it's not a barbershop right now, but what it can be. We're gonna have to knock out that wall. We could put the sinks over here. We could do that. We're gonna have to put some new floors in, all of that. So that's how I got my first shop, y'all. But when I first got my first shop, y'all, I put everything into just getting the building. So what happened is like, and I got some pictures, so I'll show y'all. This is real life. I had carpet in my first shop. So can you imagine cutting hair on carpet and what type of ring of hair is around your chair? We would try to vacuum it, but after a while, bro, like it was only so much vacuum. You couldn't suck all that hair out the carpet. So I had to wait a few months before I was able to actually even afford to be able to get the proper flooring in my barbershop. Right. So like when y'all are talking about a bootstrapper and a person and getting out the mud, I know very few people that had to get it out the mud like I had to. I had every reason to quit. I had every reason to be embarrassed, but I just ain't really ever care about that, man. I know that if I was able to do my thing long enough, I would figure it out. I would be able to reinvest in my business. And as long as I was able to keep the lights on, I knew that I had another day, another year, another decade to be able to perfect this thing. And that's what I did. But to answer your question, Chin, I almost accidentally landed up on this thing. This was not a pre-existing school. This was not a former barbershop, nothing. This was an office space. We knocked down walls and we customized it eventually, ripped up carpet, and we made it. And it's a beautiful shop now. You know what I mean? If somebody was to come in here now, it's real clear what it is. But at that time, it was just office space.
Okay, so how was your first day of opening the school?
It wasn't anything like, man, and that's one of the things I got to get better at, Chin, is like I'll be going from goal to goal. So sometimes it'd be hard for me to even like realize how far God has brought me. And I've been making a concerted effort to do that, because I just go from boom, boom. But like if I'm going back to that time, I actually did celebrate that moment. I remember getting my school. I remember going out to eat, and I remember just breathing, because it was a big deal. It was still a lot of stuff that I didn't know, y'all. Like I'll keep it a buck with y'all. My first class of students was all of my homeboys and people that I wanted to help. They were not the perfect type of students. All of them failed or had to get kicked out of school, or we had to do, I didn't know what I didn't know. I just wanted to help people. And I feel like I get to school, I bring the brothers through, they just need an opportunity. They're going to do right by me. And they wouldn't, they couldn't respect. I was the homie. So all of my first students, we got a picture, and literally every one of those students did not make it. I think besides one. But once I perfected my joint, now every single person that has come through my program that has graduated, 100% of them have passed their state exam. And that's something that the white folks can't say. Nobody in my state can say, because, like we're the only people that have been able to do that. So I've been through a lot of embarrassing and trying moments, man. But to answer your question, as far as when I first opened, man, it was just nostalgic, bro. Like I just couldn't believe that, like I literally had that piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like it was like, wow, like I went through all of this, and now boom. But that's just the first part. Once you get that piece of paper, now it's about where the students is gonna go. So it wasn't like I could live in that moment too soon, because then I had to fill all of these shares up, you know what I mean, and make people believe something that maybe they shouldn't even believe, right? Like, I don't got no background. It's other schools that been here for 30 years. Why would we take a shot on this dude? But I was able to do it. You know, I had several students that were willing to take because they wanted a barber program. These dudes was tired of going to hairdresser schools and things like that. So, you know, I kind of had the edge on that. But yeah, man, it was a really cool moment, man. I'll remember it forever, because it was just like I had to work so hard to get that, man. It wasn't handed to me. It was things that I had to go through, like I said, sacrifice wise, that just made it such a dope moment.
How did you get students? Because a lot of school owners or potential school owners, that's the question they always ask them. How am I gonna get students?
Yeah. So when I first started, y'all, like you know, like Chin doing it the smart way, you know, click funnels and all of this different, you know, automation and ads. But I literally started with, you know, I had started talking to people before I even got to school. So before I got to school, I know that eventually, you know, if we go through this whole process, it's supposed to hit at a certain time and they're going to authorize me. But I'm talking to everybody like almost like I can't pre-enroll them, but I'm letting them know as soon as I get this going, y'all, like, man, I want y'all to be my first class. This is what I'm going to do. So I had a lot of clients. I had a lot of people that was interested. I knew a lot of Hispanic people as well, to where a lot of them didn't want to go to another school. I was rocking with them, so they was willing to come to the program. And then I had a lot of homeboys that got their hair cut by me for a long time, that now that I was getting my program, they was kind of considering it things. So initially, y'all, I just did a lot of just campaigning. I went to schools, you know what I mean? It would be some times where I went to a secondary school, right? And I would just cut some of their hair for free, just to kind of just get the program out there, you know, picking up the phone, just letting people know, hey, this is what we're doing. We're a new program, we're a new school. Hey, we'll send you over our information. And that's just kind of how I did it. Because this was kind of, I ain't gonna say early into social media, but I don't think social media was as prevalent as it is right now. So it wasn't so easy as, you know, just kind of just setting up and doing your post and doing your social media thing. You had to really get out there and start seeing people.
So to open your school, can you tell them about the equipment,
Yeah.
like the rules and regulations for
Yeah.
Alaska?
Yeah, for sure. So Alaska, like the biggest thing is that you just need to have a classroom. So that's kind of the thing that kind of hold people up. But again, I was creative. I ain't had no classroom. What I did is I went to Home Depot and I was able to order this custom thing. I measured what I was going to do is take a space inside. Basically, I was going, how did I do this? I basically cut off a part of the room in my shop, and that was going to be my classroom. So what I did is I went to Home Depot, and I don't know if y'all ever heard of like these accordion doors, right? Like, you know, like it kind of fold up, you can push them all the way back, but if you need to section them off, you can put them in and it makes it like a room. That's what I did. So I literally measured that joint all the way and I said, okay, let me go take this to Home Depot. These are my dimensions. And that was my classroom. So anytime the state needed to come by, a lot of times we ain't closing. I'm gonna just keep it funky with y'all. But if the state wanted to say, where your classroom? Oh, let me show y'all real quick. This is my classroom. I put the whiteboard up right here, and this is how we have class. We usually do it after the clients leave, so they have peace and quiet, ain't nobody interfering with the classroom instruction. So a lot of y'all see how creative, like a lot of us, man, like we find reasons why we can't do something, and we got to start finding reasons why we can't. So I could have looked at that and literally at that point, it was no classroom that I could put in my shop, y'all. I had chairs and all of that type of stuff, right? But like, but I'm looking at like, where's the little, where's the little gray area in what they're saying? And that passed, y'all. That ain't me. I had to have people come inspect it. I had to be able to stand 10 toes down. It wasn't no sneaky stuff to where they didn't know what I was doing. I told them exactly what I'm doing. This is how we're going to do it. This is how, so, but you got to be able to believe that, you know what I mean? You can make this stuff happen. But no, I couldn't afford at that time to basically take down stations and make this the classroom. No, I'm not doing that. We're going to teach a lecture at the end of the day where all of these students is, or when all of these people are gone. And if we need to, if y'all need to know where my classroom is, these accordion doors that I got open all of the time, we're going to close these things and we're going to say that this is the classroom. Now I got more money and I've been able to expand. Now I got a real classroom. But if I'd have let them trick me out of my position from the beginning, y'all, I wouldn't have never been able to afford to be able to expand and actually have the classroom. So y'all got to get to the place where you're looking at those statues. And I'm just, Chin already tells y'all this. I'm just another voice saying the same thing. Y'all got to look at the minimum requirements and figure it out. So the minimum requirements for Alaska, for example, was that you had to have, I think 1,100 square feet. Y'all, I had like 1,200. You understand me? You need to have a classroom with a whiteboard. I didn't even have a whiteboard up. Like I had the whiteboard that you kind of pull the little 3 legs down and you sit on the little thing like that so you could take it down later. That's how my stuff was. Now I have the official classroom with the nice whiteboard to stay up there all day long with all of the posters in the room. But in the beginning, y'all, like we're just trying to get our foot in the door. And that's some of the problem, Chin, is that I see is that, and it talks about this. I don't know if this is Marcus Garvey that says this, or I'm thinking of, I can't think of the book right now. But a lot of times what we suffer from, y'all, is that we see other people, we see other establishments, we see other schools, we see other shops, and we want to compare our chapter 1 to their chapter 30. You can't do that. I couldn't look at Miss Roz's school and say, oh, like my school need to be like that. And if it's not like that, then that means it's not God's will for me to have a school. No, I'm looking at Miss Roz's and saying that's the end game. That's where we want to go. That's inspiration. That's motivation. But that's not my competition right now. She got 30 years on me. Like how me as a baby at 29 thinking that that's what it's supposed to look like. But if I go back to her beginning story, she'll show me the pictures of how her school originally looked. So a lot of us we can't appreciate that, y'all. Like we have to stop worrying about what it looked like and start worrying about like, does this fit the statute? What does the law say? Right? What does the law say? If the law say that you got to have a couple of one desk and that's what make it a classroom, get your one desk. If you got to have a whiteboard, get your whiteboard. You ain't trying to be dazzle it out. You ain't trying to, this is your version. This is your starter home. There we go. This is your starter home. This ain't your dream home, right? If you can afford for it to be your dream home, your dream school out the gate, then God bless you. But I'm talking to the person that was like me. I could only tell you my hero's journey. This was a starter home. This was get yourself in the game and reinvest all of these thousands that you're going to be able to get from the school. Not sit back and we're going to keep saving. We're going to keep saving. We're going to keep saving until we can get it exactly how perfect, because I can't stand to be embarrassed. I can't stand for somebody to see me not shining. I can't stand for nobody to see. I ain't care about none of that, y'all. So I literally had those accordion doors, bro. And that's how I was able to call it a classroom. It wasn't no official classroom, but it was good enough to be able to get me through that authorization process and get me a school. And now, you know, years down the line, now I have an official classroom that I could say that, you know, I'm proud of. And it's more of like, you know, aesthetically pleasing. But out the gate, bro, I was just trying to do the bare minimum, whatever they told me.
Now, you way out in Alaska. Now, how did we first come across each other?
Can y'all see that book? Y'all probably, it's all beat up and ran through and all of that type of stuff. I've been knowing Chin. He's been a mentor of mine like for years. When I came to this shop, Chin, and my mentor didn't have a lease for me to put my booth renters under. I didn't really know how to do none of that type of stuff, right? So I was able to go in here. This brother has a lease in this book, and I was able to have a lease for my students that transition to actually being barbers in my shop. So Chin, you have been, you know, inspiration and helping me for years, and you know, you don't even probably realize your impact, you know, to a brother all the way in Alaska, like you say. But that's how we came, you know, because Chin has been one of the people that has been consistently showing up, you know, for years with the same message, right? Like these schools can change your life, you know? So as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, like, where's the model? Like it gotta be some more information. I mean, I got Ms. Roz, and then back in the day when I was getting this, man, it wasn't plentiful like it is now. You know what I mean? It wasn't a bunch of resources. It wasn't no YouTube videos and all of that type of stuff. So I had this book, man, and I held on to this book for so long. You know what I mean? Just really just, okay, like, all right, this is what I need to do. All right, cool. This is what I like. And being able to have just another blueprint. Now, Ms. Roz has definitely been, I would say, like the biggest mentor, but definitely, Chin, you've definitely helped me in ways that you probably don't even know. But that's how I found out about you, man. I don't even think you had a digital version or nothing. You had to pay for the hard copy and wait for it to come in the mail. And that's what I did, bro.
So what would you say we got a lot of barber stylists, nail techs on here that are thinking about a school. I know some of them probably scared or fearful or
Yeah.
probably don't believe, or I mean, I don't know what's going on in their head. What would you say to them?
Yeah, man. I think rooms like this is so important, y'all. You know, because I can understand. I'm a play the other side real quick. I can understand if you've never seen it, if you don't know nobody that's seen it, if nobody in your circle has ever done it, then what we do a lot of times is we just perpetuate the cycle. What many of us do. Many of us don't even know what the next level of our career is. In barbering and hairdressing and estheticians, nail techs, like there's really no roadmap. Like, what is the next level? Like, how do you get a raise? Like, how do you get out of the hamster wheel? Like how? So I totally understand you when you say like, man, I'm nervous, I'm scared. I don't want to take that shot. You know, like I'm not sure if this is for me. What makes me qualified to be an instructor? Who gonna come to my school? I'm telling you, y'all, like you're looking at me, and all of those questions were things that I had to go through. And man, like, and these people have come to my school and been able to do so much that I never could imagine, man. But it was on the other side of me getting uncomfortable and dealing with what I had to deal with, man. Y'all know we don't like paperwork like that. Y'all know we don't like people in our business like that. You know, like this the government. They're gonna come and they're gonna hit you with the white glove and they're gonna have a whole bunch of stuff. But to go to another level in your life, you guys, like I was telling y'all, it's a test every single time. So if you're thinking that you're just gonna keep standing behind a chair, and obviously you're here for a reason, I would say that as well, Chin. They ain't all the way just don't that you're here because you want a different result in your life ultimately. So this is why we're all here. Let me tell y'all why we all here. So there is a current reality that you're experiencing, right? With pains, with struggles, with disappointments, with some highs, with some lows. And then there is a desire. There's a desired reality that we want. Better life, more time with our family, getting off of our feet, not dealing with crazy clients all of the time. And the school is the bridge to get there. The school is the vehicle to be able to get us from where we are, current reality, to desired reality. So what you got to ask yourself, if this is not the vehicle, then what is? What other thing could you do to be able to literally repurpose your shop, repurpose your skill set, and do the thing that 9 times out of 10 you're already doing? If you're here, you already been teaching. You've been putting on other brothers in your shop. You've been teaching your clients. You might go teach at other salons. Like, when is it going to be time for you to really all the way pour yourself into your craft and make that real commitment? Because that's what we're really talking about here, y'all. Is will we really be committed to the level that is needed for us to take our lives to the next level? But you already know what it is to cut hair. You already know what it is to do nails. You already know what that lifestyle is like. And if you were so content on that lifestyle, and if you really thought that that lifestyle was the way, you wouldn't be here. There is a desired reality that has brought you here. So you got to start thinking about it as like this vehicle. So like when I'm saying vehicles, y'all, think about a car, think about a plane, think about a boat. And all of those vehicles are utilized on different type of terrain. Now, if I want to go, you know, like me, right? Like if I'm trying to get to where y'all at to take a car, whew, I don't know. I can get there, but is that the best vehicle and the most effective way to get there? Is what I would ask myself. So to save me time, I'm willing to spend a little money. I want to take that other vehicle, a plane. There's places that you can't even use planes or cars, and you got to take a boat. So you have to decide, like, is this vehicle that you've been using sometimes for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, some of us, is this the vehicle that can get you to that desired reality? So I'm not here to keep talking about all of the, how do you do this and how do you do that and what's the tactics and all in the strategies, because it's really a mindset and it's a paradigm shift that has to happen. And that's holding you back if it's not happening. It's not the money, because I know Chin, he'll work with us. It's not that you don't have the gift, because many of us have been doing this. We already think we the coldest at here already. Then prove it. Prove that you can teach somebody else how to be cold. Teach that you can pour somebody else. A lot of us are very selfish with our time, and that's one of the things that we got to get off of. And I really don't want to be in the shop like that, this, that, and the third. But when you look at how much time you're in the shop, you're already in the shop 40, 50, 60 hours a week. You're just right now, you can slide off and take a little lunch whenever you want to. So like, think about your life being way bigger, better, and like what can get you to that desired reality is what I would be saying, Chin. I wouldn't even hit them with all of the different, the money, because that's not what it is. It's self-doubt. It's not believing in yourself. It's thinking that, you know, like you can't do this when you absolutely can. Y'all, I didn't even have a Chin holding my hand. Boy, if I had Chin, like if I knew about this program back in the day, like now that I know, like that I'm aware of what, man, this is a layup, y'all. Not to say that you won't go anything, but like the hardest part, like one of the hardest parts, which is the paperwork and stuff, to be able to have somebody to be able to say like, no, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. Man, that's a blessing. That's a blessing, y'all. So you got to stop, again, talking yourself out of the potential that you have. Barbering and hairdressing was one way to do this. This industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And let me say that again. This industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry with a B. And you're settling for $60,000 a year. You're settling for $30,000. I know what some of y'all make. See, I done coached a lot of barbers and hairdressers. Some of y'all can't even bring $1,000 home a week. And you literally have a gift to where if you would just think of it in a different type of way, your gift will make room for you. Absolutely. But maybe not through the vehicle that you're used to using. It might be another vehicle that you got to hop on to be able to do that.
You said $1,000 a week. I never made $1,000 a week in the shop.
Teach, man.
Never, ever, not one time.
Teach.
Most I ever made was about $600 or $700.
Yep. And then what happens with a lot of us, part of that's booth rent. You know what I mean? So sometimes a whole week worth of money is going to booth rent, depending on, you know, how it's set up. So I know that is not the vehicle that's going to be able to help most of us really get to the reality that we need to get to. Right? When you look at your shop, when you look at your city, man, think about the handful of schools that they got. Handful of schools. There's a hair salon and a barbershop on every corner, but a handful of schools. Why? Because the barrier to entry is harder. It's hard. Now you can come in and you can play around and you can cut unlicensed and do all of that other stuff under the table. But when you come and decide to be a school, everything got to be on the up and up. So that's a good thing, even though it sounds like stress and things like that. It's actually not, because it keeps a lot of people, you know what I mean, from oversaturating the market. So literally, even all 44 of us, we like, oh man, it's a bunch of people on this call. All 44 of us could have schools, y'all, and it still would be demand for schools. It would still be plenty of money for us all to eat.
Do you have any time for Q&A?
Absolutely, bro. I'm here for you, Jim, whatever.